Joining me in this live telecast is our managing editor from Business Today, Siddharth Zarabi. Siddharth, you must have been now, I'm sure, by now been getting and flooded with messages from the top business honchos. How is the mood like with regard to what are the first thoughts among the business community when the shocking news came with the confirmation of the death of Cyrus Mistry, Siddharth?
Pooja, it's an absolute shocker, and I was speaking a little while ago with some people, and there are literally dozens of tweets. It's very clear that the Indian industry, the stock markets, business seem to be kind of very shocked at also the fact that we had Rakesh Jhunjhunwala passing away recently, and that kind of has shaken up people. And for Mr. Mistry's family, this is an extremely devastating blow, considering the fact that Mr. Cyrus Mistry's father had passed away just in the month of June, and that very clearly is something that everybody from industry, and many of them are tweeting, are reacting to in absolute shock. And I'm trying to look through the kind of reactions that have come. The Prime Minister has reacted, yes, and a lot of people from industry, Parmal Nathwani saying of Reliance Industries, saying deeply shocked and saddened by the passing away of Mr. Mistry. Harsh Goenka saying so sad to hear of the shocking news of the passing away of Cyrus Mistry. So pretty much corporate India in deep shock, ministers, politicians, Congress, BJP, everyone, and it's obvious that his name and his family's fame, Pooja, was very, very significant. It's a mid-18th century company,
correct,
which has built some of India's most iconic landmarks, and obviously it's a brand that people knew a lot about. Although the Mistrys, if I may quickly add, Pooja, were very understated, were very media shy and stayed away. I perhaps recall having met both of them separately just once in my career, and in some ways Mr. Mistry's lack of engagement also with the media was something that had come out in stark contrast after he was ousted from the Tata Group.
Siddharth, do tell us about Cyrus Mistry, because from a lot of tributes that I've been reading, whether it's from politicians or from the industrialists, how kind and gentle he was in the manner in which he interacted, and whether it is, you know, we've been running these visuals, whether it's with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, other ministers, or even business honchos from other countries. The demeanor that everyone's been talking about Cyrus Mistry is one word, which is kind and gentle. So do tell us about some of the interactions that you think across the business community is about Cyrus Mistry.
Well, you know, the saga of the Mistry family is also connected with the saga of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and I'm saying this because self-reliance in critical industries, correct, especially in the construction sector, in the real estate and infrastructure sector, is what the Shapoorji Pallonji Group epitomized. For Mr. Cyrus Mistry himself, very clearly, his biggest sort of stint was as the chairman, the 4-year-old stint at the Tata Group, and that very clearly also defined the rest of his life, because there was a legal challenge, very sort of convoluted separation in some ways that happened. But that does not take away from his legacy in solidifying and taking forward the parent group that he belonged to, as well the Tata Group. And I think in recognition of that, he in some ways also created an environment where the Tata Sons board eventually chose Mr. Chandra to head the company, because it is not possible for the Tata Group to always remain headed by a person bearing the, yes, Tata surname. And that's why Mr. Mistry was a departure from the past. He was also someone who had radically different ideas about the role and contribution of several Tata companies, and that was where some of the corporate differences emerged with the board and other people. But in the way that he committed himself to the job, and
Yes.
with his age, you could very clearly say that he was in some ways a post-reforms.
And Siddharth, you know, because of course, as you're also correctly pointing out, one of the reasons that he's known popularly, so to say, in general parlance, was as a chairperson of the Tata Group. But also we cannot forget the fact that he managed, and the parent group, the Shapoorji Pallonji, which is a construction company, he managed to take that also to new heights, whether it was investments and business in the Middle East or in Africa, apart from India. So he contributed to that as well, and for just to be about 54, managing all of that is definitely, you know, it reflects on the sort of intelligence that he himself had, the capabilities that Cyrus Mistry had in himself.
Absolutely. When you talk about managing a complex conglomerate like the Tata Group, it's actually, some people say that managing it, the group is by itself a very, very, very difficult task or a challenging assignment for any. You basically, as the chairman of such a wide salt to software company, you are overseeing the affairs of the company through a board of directors, and there is a legacy, there is a historical contribution. The Tata Sons, one of the primary revenue drivers is the software business. And one of the things that we must share with our viewers is that the Tatas were known for satraps. Each person who founded and set up and built a business eventually became so big or as big as the company itself, and practically didn't retire. And when Mr. Ratan Tata came to the helm, over a period of time, he reshaped many of the priorities of the group. Mr. Tata's focus on the automotive sector, for example, today defines one of the most important connects of the Tata Group with the average consumer through the automotive brands. In the electric vehicle space, the Tatas are leaders. I don't need to tell our viewers about TCS and its role, size and importance in the Indian IT software success saga. Much before many of the brand names in the software sector that we talk about, TCS was there. And I remember Mr. Fakir Chand Kohli, legendary person, and I have interviewed him. I had interviewed him I think perhaps 15-20 years back. He was someone who you could sit with and realize that, oh my God, how did this person think about the software sector? Almost parallel and coterminous with some of the legendary American founders of the software revolution. So the Tata Group has a massive history, as well as the fact that they have always looked at their brand from a philosophy of ensuring that it would be recognized as one of the finest names when it came to corporate governance. The Tata brand is a byword for trust and reliability, both for consumers and for its corporate ethos. So Mr. Mistry's tenure, while it may not have ended in the best way, and there was a falling out, but he did bring about several changes which have since endured and led the Tata Group perhaps into a direction where Mr. Chandra is now so capably leading it and continuing to pave the success for future